imagine you have an upcoming test. You're talking to your friend about it, and they go, oh, I really need to study well for this exam because if I get a good grade, my parents are gonna get me a Gucci bag. And then you look them up and down, confused because you're not getting an expensive gift when you get home with an A. You're getting a platter of cut-up fruits with a nice little toothpick on it as a bonus. Now let's have a show of hands. Who's the kid who got the cut-up fruits? And do we have anyone who got the Gucci bag? Or anything similar to it? Well, let me ask you, audience. Did you ever look down on those who got anything less than you? Well, I think the answer varies from person to person because we all look at each other's financial situations differently based on what we went through, what our circumstances are. Hi, my name is Juna, and the topic of today's TED Talk is perspectives on poverty and if we can ever truly eradicate it. First off, poverty is not objective. Let's say you take someone off the streets randomly and ask them to define poverty. They'll probably picture slums, homeless people, and generally just define it as being poor. But that definition doesn't really cut it, does it? Because think about the millionaires, billionaires. Think Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, who have way more money than us. Compared to them, we're poor. But does that necessarily mean we're in poverty? Not really. And there are many different stages of poverty as well. There are people who go day by day under pressure trying to manage unexpected costs and events. There are people who can afford their needs but not their wants. There are also people who can't even get their needs met. The closest definition that I could find on the internet was from the Oxford Dictionary. Quote, deprivation or a lack of food, shelter, money, or clothing. And these necessities, as well as a lack of it, have a massive impact on people. Let's take social life for an example. People in poverty generally do not have the resources to participate in many social activities. This leads them to feeling excluded and feeling like they don't fit in. Then what if we think that everyone surrounding them is in poverty too? Then they won't be able to go out either, so you won't be excluded. Problem solved? No. There are so many other drawbacks to poverty. Your mental health, your physical health, you're more likely to live in an unsafe neighborhood, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. If I were to only talk about the bad things about poverty, I'd probably go on for half an hour. I don't think anyone would want that, so let me give you an example. The Asian financial crisis. Does anyone in the crowd remember this happening or have heard of it? Well, to those who never even knew this happened, let me tell you. Picture Thailand, 1997 summer. Thailand's baht, after months of downward market pressure, devalued. This shook the economy as a whole, and it spread to other countries in the region like wildfire. Malaysia, South Korea, Mongolia were all affected by this. And the crisis brought recession, and the recession, surprise, surprise, brought poverty. Millions of people lost their jobs. Many banks had large losses, and a lot of people went into a life of crime because that was the only way we were able to keep food on the table at the time. The crisis resolved after years, and even when it did, it still left a few big marks, such as people still not recovering from their losses that happened during the crisis. Today, poverty is more widespread than ever. According to United Nations, 1.1 billion people around the country face multidimensional poverty. And you may ask, since poverty is so widespread and so bad, why aren't we trying to stop it? Well, the thing is, we are. But it really isn't as simple as just do charity. There are many roadblocks that keep people from going past poverty, such as welfare traps. Let me elaborate. Let's pretend that you're unemployed. You've been searching for a job for months now, but you can't get hired, and the only way you were able to afford rent and utilities was because of the monthly check that the government sends you. And finally, you get accepted to the job. You get your first paycheck, and things seem to be finally turning around. But there is a catch. That paycheck you just received was enough to disqualify you from the benefit program. So without that extra little help from the government, you're suddenly making less money than when you were unemployed. This type of thing discourages people in poverty from even trying again, because after you fail and fail and fail again, you don't want to try again. And to that I say, we need to give them motivation and proper support to actually get past that. Let's go back to the fruits and bag dilemma for a bit. If you were a kid that always got the fruits, never the bag, then how would you know how the person who got the inexpensive gift feel? Yeah, you probably look from the sidelines and see, that's probably nice, but to crave something, you actually need to taste it first. So let me give you 3 simple things that we can all start trying to do today. First off, and probably the most important, educating those in poverty. Many charity and donation events fail to recognize this because they're focused on informing us, the ones outside of it, so we will donate to whatever cause they have. But the most important thing is educating them, educating the people. This can include donating to schools, supplies, books, and making more of them in rural areas where poverty is at its highest. This can also ensure that the kids in future will be more likely to be hired and break the cycle. Second, creating job opportunities. Like in the first one, many people turn their backs on people in poverty as potential candidates because they never had previous education. And this can also become a cycle of its own, where you go to a job, apply, get rejected, and then another job rejects you because you never had previous work experience. We need to start giving them opportunities. We have to give them a chance to work for what they want. Our third one, and the one you probably heard most about, charity and donations. Yeah, I said before that charity is not the best way to combat this, but it's still a good way to support them. Simple things like blankets, clothes, food, and even toys for little kids can be a proper motivation. Many people think that as long as society and humans exist, there will be some kind of hierarchy. So there will be people at the bottom of the barrel. Well, let's pretend this is true for a minute, but so what? If we can minimize the poverty that is such a big deal for us in the world, we can really make a change. We have to come together as a society to chip away at this big problem, bit by bit, step by step, together. Thank you.